So last time I was here, I was telling you a story about a neighborhood in Houston and the work we did there. And it was a great big story because it was the worst neighborhood in the whole city, and it was the highest juvenile crime zip code in the whole country. And we came out of that neighborhood with a brand new story. And we told it to everybody in the community, everybody that would listen to us. And we gave a whole bunch of what we call I had no idea tours. That's a tour you take in your own city where you find out things you didn't know anything about. We gave a lot of those, and we talked to people about a whole different thing that was going on in Gulfton, and these amazing people that had come from all over the world to plant their dreams right there in our city, and what they represented in terms of a resource. And we were raising $25 million to change this community. And it was like 2008. So that wasn't really a good year for fundraising, in case you've forgotten. And you know, in 2008 in Houston, we actually had this hurricane, Ike. I know y'all don't remember because, you know, it happened in Houston and in Texas and not on the East Coast where it was Superstorm Sandy when y'all had it. But it was a great big old hurricane. So we were raising this money, and we were going to build this amazing village center in the heart of the immigrant community in Houston. We were having an ugly talk about immigration. And we went down to the city with our plans. And on grand opening day, the pictures you just saw, the guy that works at the city told us that when he saw those plans, he and all of his team got together and said, this has a snowball's chance in hell of ever being built. Well, he was standing there on the day it was open, and our snowball did pretty well. And then a bigger snowball happened. People started to come and look at this project, and they started studying the way we had done it. And folks started writing about us. All kinds of people wrote about us in all kinds of publications, and you can go and read those. And they'll tell you the 4 things that they thought were really revolutionary about what we had done. But I got to tell you that they weren't so revolutionary from where we stood, because we were doing what we had always done. We were looking into neighborhoods and communities, and we were looking for what was right about them. And we were working hard to do things in a holistic way, because we don't transform the community on the backs of one element. Because we all want to live in a community with schools and financial institutions that we trust. We want a way and a place to get together. We want it to be a whole picture. Well, we were using all kinds of money, public and private, and that hadn't been done before in the way we had done it. And then we were large. And in community development world, large is uncommon. So we had scale and all of that good stuff that comes with being big. But we knew how to be small too, where we needed to be. So I want you to come and visit us, because this talk is really for everybody that wants to change community. Everybody that really cares about their whole city. For those of you who haven't written off the neighborhood and the community that just doesn't work the way people think it ought to, I want you to come down and visit, because we'll tell you all the details of how we got there. But what I want to tell you today is the wisdom that came. I want to share the wisdom that came from this, because this is where you have to start. You can't do this work if you're still waiting. If you're still waiting for Congress, I don't know, you can't do anything at all, right? So that just ain't gonna help, right? So no one's coming. No one is going to show up with the right enabling policy and just the funding you need and the exact model that fits. Whatever you care about, whatever you look at every day and say, my God, this needs to be different. If it's really going to be about people and possibility and promise, this has to change, it's up to you. And it doesn't mean you won't have any help, but you got to own it. What gets led gets done. So yeah, and you can't build on broken. So when you get started, look around to see what's already working. Study it hard. Take out that great big magnifying glass we use all the time to go over in minute detail everything that's going badly, to examine our mistakes, to look at poor communities and diagnose the problems and chronicle the ways in which they're not measuring up. Get out that magnifying glass and shine it on what's working. We're going into a new neighborhood now at their invitation, and we have our magnifying glass out, and we're looking at this community that in every way has been written off. I mean, written off in the way where we went ahead and annexed everything around it, and it sits in the city but not of the city, underserved in every possible way. But this community believes that there's something important there. They tax themselves to buy land, to hold it there. They've invited us to come in. Last night we signed an agreement and they pledged this land for us to build a center there. A center for possibility, a center for promise, a center for the future for that community. Because it's all about looking at things in a holistic way. And when we built this center at Baker Ripley that got us so famous, you know, we didn't choose between a clinic and a school and immigration services and a credit union. They're all there. So in this next community, we're looking to them to say, what are you hungry for? What are you trying to get done out here? What's already working? Because we want to build on that. And it starts with doing what you can with what you have, just the way the community of Aldine has done. They put together some money, they bought some land, they've committed that land to us so that we can come and build a roof over the community aspirations. See, a lot of times when we want to help, we think we already know. We know what people need, right? We can look at them and tell that school's not working, that community's not functioning the way it's supposed to. And the story in Aldine's a little bit like that. Everybody's talking about the dropout rate. A lot of the kids don't finish high school. A lot of the people are working very hard for very little money. So everybody thinks they know what's going on there. But what's really, really happening is those kids are dropping out of school and they're working in their parents' business. And everybody in Aldine has a job and a hustle because that's what it takes. So there's possibility there to support the entrepreneurial efforts, to find a way for kids to get credit for working like they're adults when they're not. There's a whole different way of looking at it. And if you listen deeply, if you listen without preconceived notions and ideas about how much better off people would be if only they did things your way. Sometimes when folks ask us for help, we don't help, we colonize. We move in with our own set of ideas and we apply a solution. Through all of this fame and fortune that came to us, well, let's see, it's been more fame than fortune. I'm waiting on the fortune. All of it, people said, you're a national model. And I said, no, we're not. We're not trying to be anybody's model because what we're going to do in every community is go in with the same set of questions. What's working? What's strong? What's life affirming in this community? What makes it whole? What makes this place feel like home? And we're going to work side by side with those people to build on those aspirations, on the things that people are trying to get done in their lives. So you need a big why to get a big we. None of this gets done with a few people. We're going to raise $50 million. We've already started for these next two communities we're working with. A lot of people are going to have to give a whole bunch of money. And then, just like last time, by the end of it, we'll be digging in the sofa cushions to get the last few nickels that we can find. But while we're doing this is another powerful thing to understand about community development, how we change things. There can be no us and them. You know, we can't do this whole thing about, well, here's some people that are really struggling and they're underserved and it's your fault, write a check. There's no we in that. We can't raise money from people and get their support and make a change in a community if we treat them like a pocketbook and not a person. So all the compassion and understanding and sensitivity and caring concern we bring to the people about whom we have the greatest concern, we better bring it right over to the people that we hope will help us. Because it has to be about all of us. I love our city. I love our city because so many of the leaders in Houston really understand that we can't get there if we don't all get there. And so but this is not easy. It takes a lot of work. It takes sort of the unglamorous work of contracts and planning and hiring about 1,200 people that and keeping up with 7,000 volunteers. And this is all the work that we're doing. And at times, we ask ourselves, how do we deal with the regulations and the challenges of all kinds of funding? What do we do when the money's slow in coming, or it comes at the wrong time, it comes in the wrong way, it comes in some siloed fashion, when we're trying to do holistic things? Well, every time we get a little confused, we go back to the well of meaning, the big why. What are we doing? Why are we doing it? What do we believe about people? Well, I believe everyone counts. I believe everyone matters. My whole purpose, my whole life has been devoted to those really hungry people. I'm not talking just about the people that can't fill their stomachs at night, and that's painful, but I'm talking about the people so hungry for a better life. They get up every day thinking about, what is the way forward? Is there a place for me in the world? If I do all I know how to do, as well as I know how to do it, can I make a path from where I am to a different way of life? See, I just believe that you can build a great city with people like that, with that hunger. I think you can build a great country with people like that. I think that every day in every way, we need to resource those people that are building a life out of their own imaginations. People trying to find a way forward because they want something different than the life they were born to. So that's who we work with. And these little faces you see, these kids have been with us several years now at the Baker Ripley School. And I bet all of you remember your second and third grade teachers. I bet you do. I bet you remember your best friend in third grade. And see, once you get these projects going and everybody starts looking at them, they don't just tell you it's great. They also tell you all the ways in which it isn't replicable and not scalable and isn't this and isn't that and it ought to be more of this and more of that. I often felt like I was in Cora's line. You know, the part where I can be bigger, I can be shorter and taller. And, you know, it's like in community, the world of community development, the minute you get it done, somebody changes the definition of success. But you see, it doesn't bother me because that's my definition of success. For these kids, it's permanent. They'll sit in a chair like you one day and remember their best friend, the teacher that cared about them, the community that surrounded them, and all the people at neighborhood centers that believed in them. And that's permanent. You can't undo that. And that's life-giving and affirming. And that's how we move forward as a city. It's how we move forward as a country. Thank you so much.